Hello. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Kids, how are you? We are joining us live from our studios. These chairs are not going to be empty for long. Kenyan children are still in school, so we're waiting for them to close for the day and then they can join us. So thank you so much for joining us, and we're going to have so much fun having a conversation, reflecting on the conversation from last year, and just having an in-depth and giving us a recommendation as children what needs to be done. I'm going to hand over this meeting to my colleague Frecia and Felistas to take over. Frecia and Felistas. Frecia, are you there?
Hi, Jennifer. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
hi. Hey, we can hear you.
How are you?
How are you?
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Very much,
Frecia, we can't see you. We can't see you. We can hear you. We can't see you. We are just seeing the sign language interpreter and the kids from Uganda.
No, that's okay. My apologies. I am tethering my phone. My laptop has an issue connecting to the Wi-Fi. So allow me to simply talk, but actually not put in my switch on my video. My apologies for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Frecia, as Jennifer has said. I work with the Eastern African Child Rights Network, which is a network of child rights organizations drawn from the Eastern African region. And it is one of the 5 networks we have 5 different networks from the different regions of Eastern Africa, which are derived from the African Union map. The job I've been given today is pretty simple, is to help you understand what it is we're going to be doing today, just sort of help us understand what we are going to be doing for the next 2 hours, because we will be having this session from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock Eastern African time. I know some of us are coming from the north, others are coming from the south, others from central, and others from the east. So our clocks may be different, or our times may be different. But in Eastern Africa at the moment, it is 4 o'clock, which means it's around 3 o'clock in Southern Africa and another 3 hours behind in Western Africa. But for today, for me to really just help set the scene, our goal for this in the next 2 hours is to really understand what it is, or we are building from the last 2 sessions. I know this is the 3rd CSO forum we are having, online session we are having with children. I know we had one with you in June. I think the last one was on June 1st. Then we had another one in November, and now we are having the 3rd one in March, which is today. I remember when we had the June one last year, that was when COVID had just sort of hit Africa. A lot of us were very scared. And I remember a lot of the challenges we had at that point is we were out of school. A lot of children were out of school. Some were actually just transitioning from going to or had just closed school, more or less as an emergency at that time. But a lot of children were scared at that point. By the time we came in for the November session, a lot of children were still out of school, since most of the countries in Africa had not gone back to school or had not reopened schools. And there were a lot of challenges that children raised in the November session, like being at home, losing a full calendar year. Again, a lot of us had seen the impact of COVID, how it affected us, our families. Although not many children were sick at that point, a lot of children had seen their relatives get sick. They had seen their families struggling because a lot of people lost their jobs. Their feedback was they're not even able to play or even play with their other siblings or interact with their family and friends. So there's a lot of recommendations that were given during the November and the March session and the June session, sorry. And today we will be building on those sessions and actually looking at what it is recommendations you had given the civil societies, and what you had given maybe the African committee, and actually now trying to understand what is it that as civil societies we have done since then. So also today, we will be able to, I think a lot of us had used technology, and even the forum for today, as we have, what we're having is the 18th CSO forum, which will be tomorrow. And we're just also trying to understand the charter. The charter also turned 30 last year. I remember one of the sessions we had was, as the charter turned 30, as children, had we understood the charter? Had it benefited us? And really what we felt about the charter. And I think since then, because we have had to use a lot of technology, even now, we have moved from having a lot of physical meetings to online meetings. So it is really understanding as children also how it is that we are embracing technology, and how that in terms of trying to understand the children's right. But as we looking through the program for today, we will be, Ms. Felicitas, who is from CRINSA, will be taking us through the session where she will help us she will be giving feedback on behalf of civil societies in Africa, based on the sessions we had with you in June and November. And then she'll be able to give a reflection of what it is you gave in June, the recommendations you gave us in November, and what it is we have done as civil societies from there. Then we will also get to hear from you as children. I mean, in the last session, or in last year, the last two sessions of last year, a lot of children, or from the feedback we got, a lot of children had not gotten sick, but as come 2021, we have seen cases of children being infected with COVID. A lot of you were not in school at that point, but now some of you have gone back to school. A lot of the countries had a lot of strict measures in order for them to actually work around or maybe prevent the infection of COVID. Some countries have relaxed. Other countries like Kenya, we are waiting for the president to give his speech today and tell us what is the way forward. But we've also started to see again the rise of COVID cases. But so we will be able to hear from you on the different countries. Have all countries gone back to school? What is the status like, depending on where you are? And then we'll be able to hear and share as a continent. But we will also be listening and getting your recommendations once again from this session. We will also, from around 5 o'clock Eastern African time, we will be having a session with you, which will be facilitated by the Gracia Machel Trust, which is an organization in Southern Africa. And they will be sharing the platform, which is called Haki for All Child Rights, digital training platform. Haki, for those of you who do not understand Kiswahili, is actually speaking more around justice or the rights, depending on the context. But this is a children's platform. So the Gracia Machel Trust will be actually presenting to us or sharing that platform with that. And as children, we can see how to engage with it. Then from there, we will have an outcome statement, or rather we will summarize what it is that we have discussed today. And as we summarize, we will be looking to have one of you, or children actually, nominate 2 of you. One of from the 2 nominees, one child will be presenting tomorrow at the main Civil Society Forum, which is again the 18th Civil Society Forum. This is a civil society forum, or the forum where all civil societies from the continent will be meeting tomorrow. That session starts from tomorrow, 12 o'clock Eastern African time. Then the other child who will be nominated will be presenting at the African Committee session, which will be on Monday. I'll be looking at that time. But yes, you will be presenting on Monday. So for today, that is how the program looks. It is going to be a 2 hours program. Nothing difficult, nothing hard. And for those who are maybe joining us for the first time, we will say welcome. I'm sure Jennifer will be able to set the ground rules or tell you how she will be, how everyone or anyone who wants to speak and how you'll be able to interact. But as for now, or from me, my responsibility or my task was to simply let you know what it is we are going to be covering today, how we are going to be covering it. due to the amount of time we have, I think we've started a bit late. So I think I am going to end it there and give you back to Jennifer, because we're already 5 minutes past time. But from me, I want to welcome you all for this session. We are very, very glad to have you, and we are looking forward to interacting with you during this session. Karibuni.
Thank you so much, Precious. And I've seen if you have kids from across Africa, it's exciting. Like, I'm really, really exciting because we have children from across Africa. We are from North Africa, from West Africa. Bonjour, bienvenue. We have kids from Southern Africa. Welcome very much to the session. And as I promised you, we have kids from Kenya and East Africa. So welcome very to the session. Yes, as Precious said, I'm going to give you a few ground rules on how we are going to do. For the Arabic, I have already put the poster up, but it is the same for the French. So we have factions for this meeting. So you'll not be able to speak to your friends the way you're used to, but you can be able to put your questions in the chat, in the Q&A. You'll see a section written Q&A. So you can be able to put it in the Q&A section. And if you want to talk, lift up your hand. There's a hand icon at the bottom of your screen. Lift up your hand and we allow you to speak when time comes for speaking. If you want to speak to me directly, you can just send me a chat and I will be able to see your comment. And if you want to have a conversation, if you're Arabic or French or Portuguese speaker, there's all those interpretations are available. Please click at the bottom of your screen and you choose the language that you are able to understand. And at this moment, I will request our interpreters, starting with French, to interpret this in the main room in French, so that those ones who have not moved to their rooms can be able to move. French, Dominique. Please interpret in the main room. Dominique, I can't hear you. Or Ken? Okay, Abu, for the Arabic, please translate this in the main room so that the Arabic Arabic speakers can be able to hear you. Thank you. Portuguese. Okay, thank you. And but I'm going to highlight the posters for French and Portuguese, just in case we did not hear them speaking. And I'm going to hand over this meeting back to Felicitas, who is going to give the opening remarks. Felicitas, thank you very much. Okay, I can see.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jenny. I had thought that maybe we should start with introductions so that I can know who we are welcoming to the meeting. I don't know if that's possible, Jenny.
It is possible to do that. So I'm going to start with someone from Kenya. We have boys. Don't be worried. We have boys. So actually, we are trying to rearrange the studio so that you can have the boys fit in. We have boys, so we are trying to rearrange. So we are a bit more than the ones who are here. So I'm going to request the Kenyan girls who are here to introduce. They are going to move out a bit and then the boys can come in as we figure out how to make everybody fit in a very small studio. So just your name and school.
Hi, I'm Christine McKenna and I'm from Bagathi High School.
Which country?
Kenya.
My name is Sumaya Mohammed. I'm from Bagathi High School and I'm from Kenya.
I'm Charity
from Bagathi High School and I'm from Kenya.
I'm Zalia Ramadan from Bagathi School. I'm from Kenya.
I'm Deborah Mbula from Bagathi High School and I'm from Kenya.
I'm Sheila Luangu from Bagathi High School, Kenya.
Thank you very much. I think another country, Uganda, can introduce themselves as we try to fit the boys in our studio because we need to move some things around. So I'm going to request the Ugandans to introduce themselves next. Hadija? Hadija?
Yes, Jenny. You can
go on.
Hello.
Go on, Hadija.
Oh, this is Hadija Mwanje. I am from High School for Children. And from Uganda, we have a team of children. They're going to introduce themselves. They are from different schools, but all members of the High School for Children Media Club.
Hi everyone, I'm Stacey Polanachimundi. I'm from Kingston High School, Uganda.
Hi everyone, I'm Kisa Daniel from St. Julian High School, Uganda.
Hi everyone, my name is Moriah Joshua from Seta High School, Uganda.
Hi everyone, my name is Chigundo Ali and I'm from Kingston High School, Uganda.
Jenny, that is the team here, and we are happy.
Sure, who is behind what? I am going to with Yaone. I'm thinking you're from down south, and then Mundia, and then Kud, and then At. One could.
I'm from Tamani High School.
Tamani.
I'm from Sheffield.
And then Mundia, are you able to introduce yourself?
Yes, can you get me?
Yes, we can.
Hi everyone, my name is Mundia Livinda from Zambia and I'm from Dibala Secondary School.
Thank you. Ibrahim? Yone? Yone?
Oh, hi, I'm Evelyn Kidikile from Falcon High School and I'm from Botswana.
Thank you. Okay, go on.
Hi, my name is
Kamisoran Keke. I go to
Believers Destiny Academy. I'm from Botswana.
You're welcome. Tahani?
تهاني مفتاح منخرطة في جمعية أمل للعائلة والطفل من تونس.
Okay, Asbi? 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 Okay, Hashef? Aya?
I am Mufida from Tunisia, Amal organization.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Huda.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, fun.
Yes, I have the kids from Botswana. They will introduce themselves.
Okay.
Hi everyone. My name is Junior Chupio from Ramija CGSs from Botswana.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, I'm Namitonwa from Shesheriva.
High School from Botswana. Hi everyone, my name is Osokawa Fiti from Tamani CSOs from Botswana.
Hello everyone, my name is Khomele Mopalalani from Masunga Senior Secondary School from Botswana.
Yes, we are done. We are still struggling to, we cannot chat because we are disabled. Once we are able, then we'll be leaving the kids to proceed with the meetings on their own.
Okay, which other group is missing? I've given others, they don't want to talk. So I am, if you want to talk, Elizabeth, you have a group of children, okay. Frank, you have a group of children. Okay, I am promoting Elizabeth and Frank so that you can do it.
Yes. Why? Why?
Yeah, why?
Hello, Asi?
Because I don't feel like 5 hours per day in Europe.
Okay, I'm waiting for Elizabeth and Frank to introduce themselves.
Salut.
Yes, Frank, go ahead.
Moi, je suis Kim Etienne, je viens du Burundi. Je suis accompagné avec une autre enfant. Les autres sont à l'école. Ils sont en train de venir.
Okay. So, Elizabeth.
Enchanté, Madame Elisabeth.
Okay, go ahead. I think these ones are from Malawi. Okay, Felicitas, I think we are many. I think we'll just go as we get the feedback, we can give them time to introduce themselves. So because of time. Feli?
I'm Elizabeth from Zambia, Lundazi Day Secondary School.
Okay, welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Who is missing? I think we have done Burundi. Maona?
Rwanda.
Okay, Rwanda, go ahead. I can't see the Rwandese speaking. Feli, I think you go on, pick up the meeting.
Okay.
Switch on your camera, please.
Thank you so much. Yes, am I
It's
visible?
on. It's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jenny, and good afternoon to all of you kids. It's very good to hear that we have representation from most of the African countries. We are very grateful that you could join us, particularly today because it's a Friday. We understand that you are coming from school, you had lessons, but also that some of you will be closing schools today. So the fact that you could join us for us remains one of those things that elevate the work that civil society organizations are doing. As mentioned by Freshia, we are civil society organizations. I hope you know what that means. It means that we are not government, we are non-state actors. And as civil society organizations, we play two roles. The first role is that we provide a supportive role to government to be able to give you services as children. So as civil society organizations that are working on issues of children, we are supporting governments in African states to be able to provide you what services. And these services, they vary. They move from education to welfare issues. And welfare issues, we're talking issues around the provision of psychosocial support. We are talking issues around provision of shelter in some instances. We're talking issues around the provision of clothing in other instances. But all these services really are meant to ensure that the four cornerstones of your rights, the broad rights of children, the right to survival, the right to development, the right to protection, and the right to participation are fulfilled. So that is our role as civil society organizations. And in that supportive role, much as we are providing it to governments to give you services, we are also playing that role in terms of us actually doing the provision of those services as well, just to make sure that we can complement what government is doing, because they can't be everywhere at the same time, or they can't be in every area at the same time. And sometimes they need stakeholders, and we find ourselves being that particular stakeholder. The second role that we play as civil society organizations is that of watchdog and advocacy. And that simply means that we are monitors. You would know this because in your schools, you have class monitors. You also do have prefects or head girls and head boys. And the role of that is that you are looking out that people are actually doing what they're supposed to do. If it's in class, you are a monitor to check if your classmates are actually doing schoolwork, and that as they do that schoolwork, that they are not playing and that they are not making noise. And that is what civil society organizations are doing. We are monitoring governments, our governments in the different countries, as to whether or not government is actually implementing the Children's Act as they would have designed it in your country, or that they are actually implementing the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Children in the African continent. And that is what we are there for. So in terms of monitoring that, what we then do is to really check if the different provisions that are in the Charter is being implemented, as well as ensuring that we can point the governments to the right places in terms of developing position papers, developing policy briefs in some instances, just to show that when we say implementation, these are the gaps. And we feel that because of these gaps, 1, 2, 3 needs to be done. And we can only do that well if we are working with yourselves as children. And that is why meetings such as the one that we're having with you today is very important, because for us, this is where we get feedback in terms of the work that we do, but also in terms of understanding what are other issues that are affecting you as children that perhaps we need to be looking out for, or perhaps we need to be doing more research on, so that we can then engage appropriately with the different stakeholders, including yourselves. Having said that, we are constituted as civil society forum, and that simply means that all of us as civil society organizations in the different countries, we've come together and said we can't be speaking about issues of children in isolation to each other. We need to have one voice that is speaking about an African child, whether they're coming from Angola or they are coming from South Sudan. And that, that one voice will ensure that children can have the same type of standard of living in terms of what it is that needs to be provided for, as it is evident within the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. And as civil society organizations from the 5 African regions, therefore, we need to also be seeing these things happening at the same time, happening in the same matter, but also happening in such a way that it can help us to understand what we are doing right, what we are not doing right as civil society organizations, but perhaps what we can learn from others in terms of where we need to go and how we need to get there. And that is why today we are speaking to yourselves. Tomorrow, we will be sitting down as civil society organizations, now really talking about what you said today and seeing where servicing you well. And also, you know, mapping out what we need to be doing in the future if we are to really make sure that we can give you appropriate roles that we play in terms of supporting governments, supporting the committee of experts, but also playing the monitoring and watchdog role in terms of advocacy. Having said that, welcome to the meeting. Please do feel free to engage. This is your space. We are here to listen, and we are here to really hear what you as children are going through currently. And we also want to learn what we can do better in terms of those issues that you might be facing. Please utilize the various platforms that Jennifer spoke to in terms of the chat room. If you feel that your hand is not being recognized, please use the chat platform to type in, as well as engage through the mic as and when you are chosen. There is interpretation as you understood from Jenny. So language is not a barrier. We'll be able to hear each other, whether we are speaking English, we are conversing in French, Portuguese, or Arabic. And that's the beauty of Africa, that we can unite with the diversity that we have in terms of tribes, in terms of countries, but also in terms of language. Jennifer, I am tempted to stop here, or I can continue with the actual feedback. I would need your guidance. Thank you so much. And once again, welcome. And all the adults that are on the platform, having accompanied the children as chaperones or having facilitated the meetings, we can't thank you enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you for providing and facilitating for children to be here today. Thank you so much and welcome once again. Jenny?
Thank you so much, Felicitas. Sorry, I keep on. I'm keeping moving. But thank you so much, Felicitas, for the welcome remarks. And I see we are so many. You know, I am so happy considering the amount of time we were given to organize this. But thank you so much for all the kids. We have 100 children from across Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. I can see, if you have any questions, just put them on the question Q&A. We are looking at them and we are going to get back to you. So I'm going back to put the meeting back to Felicitas to continue with the feedback. And this is your time, children, to be able to talk. Don't feel as if as adults you want to control this conversation, but this conversation is about you. We want to hear from you. You have told us so many things. What do you want? So I'm going to ask Felicitas to give us feedback from the civil society. Last year, you told us to do a lot of things to make sure government that to ensure that the government has made children go back to school, and to tell the governments across Africa to ensure that children have gone back to school. In Kenya, they're in school. I don't know about any other part of the country. We ensure that children who got pregnant, they are not stopped from going back to school. I am not sure how that has gone, but Felicitas, how have we done as civil societies to ensure that we are actually hearing what the children are telling us and we are implementing? Go ahead, Felicitas.
Thank you, Jennifer. And once again, you forgive my host voice. There are challenges, but who will survive them? So in terms of feedback, we just felt that one of the things that we fail to do as service providers is that we fail to give feedback to the people who are consuming our services. We fail to give feedback to people that we meet. We fail to give feedback to people who give us recommendations in terms of what it is that we need to do. And that sometimes we don't even avail that space for people to actually ask us questions as to whether or not we have been able to do anything at all in relation to what they would have suggested as a way forward to addressing certain issues. Some of you who are in the meeting today, it's your first time to meet with us as civil society organizations. But there were some of you who were here last year, and they gave us a lot of things that we needed to do. And that is why we are here today to say, we want to give you feedback, but we also want to understand further whether the things that we discussed last year have changed or not. Now, last year we met with children on the 1st of June, 2020. We also met with children on the 18th of June, 2020. We met with children on the 21st of November, 2020. You see, we met with you a lot of times, and we felt that we can't always be meeting without giving you feedback. And based on the meetings that we had last year, one of the things that you had said to us was that you were worried about education. You said to us that we needed to push to make sure that schools are opened for your benefit. You were saying to us that you were having serious problems with catching up with your curricula because you were now forced to study at home. And that studying at home was difficult because there were challenges in terms of you can only study if you have access to a smartphone or if you have access to internet for you to be able to access material that has been sent by your teachers on WhatsApp. And some of your teachers were actually conducting Zoom lessons or online lessons. You also said to us that there were issues with power or electricity in some of the parts of your countries where there was power shortage or there was no connection at all, particularly in rural areas. And because of that, even the lessons that were being provided by the Ministry of Education via the radio or television, you were not able to access that. And you were worried that because of that, you feared how you were going to fare with your exams. And you asked us as civil society organizations to speak to governments and see whether or not they can't really find a better way of you to access education. And we are happy to report that much as this was not done by us as civil society organizations alone, that there were conversations that went on with governments, particularly around how we can open schools safely, how we can ensure that you still go to school, but you do it in such a way that it's safe. And one of the measures that were geared to ensuring that it's safe was the fact that most schools or most African governments then had to dig in their pockets and ensure that there was provision for you to wash your hands. So they had to erect some type of areas where you can constantly be washing your hands. There was also provision in terms of how we can socially distance while in classes. So classes were now marked, desks and chairs were now separated with that 1 meter or 1.5 meters, depending on whether or not you had the resources or not as a country, so that you can be sitting far apart from each other. And then there was also issues around how we needed to ensure that there was children coming to school wearing masks. So those are some of the things that had to be done. But over and above that, there were also conversations with parents in terms of how are we going to make sure that they actually are children coming to school and they remain safe. Some of those things also included certain classrooms or buildings being marked as a sick bay, so that as and when we do have a child who is experiencing COVID-19 symptoms, there's a holding room where they can stay until such a time that their parent or their guardian can be able to fetch them from school. And also issues around how then we can ensure that as and when we experience a child having such symptoms, that we can ensure that there is some tests that are going on, but also ensure that those that are sitting next to that child are actually being taken care of. You also said to us in 2020 that access to health services for coexisting health conditions was a problem, particularly for children. You were saying that the focus now has shifted by African countries where now the focus was mainly on COVID-19. People forgetting that there were other issues around diabetes or issues around hepatitis or issues around HIV, so on and so forth. And you wanted us to remind health ministries that they shouldn't focus on COVID-19 and neglecting the other health services. And we are happy to report today that that has since been taken care of. We've seen how even through COVID-19, we had commemorations of the International AIDS World Day. We also saw in some countries actually the commemoration of the World Diabetes Day, which is an indication that these coexisting or long-term illnesses were not forgotten during this time. But we also saw health facilities trying by all means to ensure that these services are also provided and that COVID-19 services were moved a bit further or far from where other existing illnesses were being treated. You also said to us in 2020 that you were experiencing a lot of verbal, emotional, and physical abuse in your homes because you were spending a lot of time in your houses. And because of that, you were staying with parents or relatives that perhaps were now, feeling the heat in terms of staying with you guys for long periods of time. Because sometimes you are very naughty, isn't it? Not? Yeah, not. Yeah, so you were saying because of that, you were experiencing emotional verbal abuse where parents or the elders were not speaking to you appropriately, but that in other instances, they were beating you. In other instances, you were actually being sexually abused. There were a lot of children, particularly the girl child or girls who became pregnant as a result of being sexually abused by relatives. We are happy to report today that as part of civil society organizations playing that role of monitoring and advocating, we now have the committee, the African Committee of Experts, going to look into issues of sexual and reproductive health rights starting on Monday. And we also do have a continental study on teenage pregnancy that is going to be conducted, and that this study will help us to really understand what the root causes are. Why are the elders interested in children, and what causes that, and how best we can respond to some of these issues. You also said that you had problems with recreational activities which were now curtailed because of countries' lockdowns and restrictions on movement. Unfortunately, with the recreational activities, there isn't much that we can proudly report on now because a lot of the recreational activities, a lot of them are still closed because they are viewed to be super spreaders in terms of COVID-19. So with the recreational activities, there isn't much really that has happened since we last met with yourselves. So on that component, we really are not doing well. So that's where we are with recreational activities. And then there was also an issue around safety when we go back to school, which was said to be an issue that we needed to look into, and I've already reported to that. Lastly, you had said to us that you needed us to be involved in the response to COVID-19, because one of the challenges that were existing then was that in most countries there was a task team that was looking into issues of COVID-19, and this task team unfortunately did not have civil society organizations as part of the team. And that meant that stakeholders were missing in terms of giving other perspective, particularly because by then in 2020, there weren't a lot of cases that were involving children being COVID positive. So it meant that other issues around targeting rural areas with information, targeting vulnerable populations with information, such as children with disability. We found that there was no sign language in terms of the information on COVID-19 that was being passed around. There was no braille for those that can't see but can feel letters on the reading materials, that they can appreciate what they needed to do in order for them to remain safe and free of COVID. And you had asked us to really play an active role with government insofar as responding to COVID-19 was concerned. And with that, I'm happy to report that since then, we then ran also parallel processes where we were now involved in public education. We were utilizing technology, social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube to run educational materials, but we're also using national televisions and radio stations to really pass on the message so that we could ensure that everyone is included. And today, I should hope that we also do have sign language here to also cater for the vulnerable population in terms of those that can't hear but can actually read lips and can see. And that is why we are insisting that perhaps when we speak, we should turn on our cameras so that those that can't hear, at least they can read lips, and perhaps they can form sense of what we are saying. But beyond that, we also did engage with the Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child and brought some of these issues to the fore, where we really wanted that children's issues should be at the center of every discussion that we are having. And we also had an outcome statement that we engaged with the African Committee of Experts. And beyond that, we also sat with the different ministries at country level to really make sure that we can have children's issues being taken seriously, because children are affected. Their parents are frontline workers, and if they're working long hours, it means that they're missing at home. Children find themselves now staying alone, or that if their parents actually become COVID positive because of being frontline workers or any other exposure, it also meant that children at home were affected. And these are some of the strides that we have that have now necessitated or even availed vaccines as we see them. Unfortunately, with vaccines, it's still an area that we really need to increase our advocacy on, because the rollout plan for those that have already bought the vaccines has serious gaps, but for other African countries, they're yet to procure the vaccines. I don't know what else I would have left, but so far this is the feedback that we wanted to give you. But I have a team of colleagues. If there's anything else that I've left behind, particularly around use of technology, my colleagues Jenny and Frecia will add on to that. Back to you, Jenny, in terms of the feedback. Actually, Frecia, in terms of the feedback session.
Thank you so much, Feli, because of that conversation. I'm just looking at the kids and I'm thinking, can you all stretch? I can see all of you look so, the uniforms, you're looking all cute and beautiful. Can we all stretch? I can't see anybody stretching, especially those who are around me. Let's all stretch. Let's all stretch. So let's all stretch. Oh, let's all stretch. Let's all stretch. I can see, there's some guys from Burundi. I can see you guys, you're not stretching. Oh, I know, we are out then. So you can see most of the time we have this session in the morning hours, but this time we made them in the evening because we feel the North Africa and West African children are left out in this conversation because it's too early for them to wake up. And so this time we have said, let's make them a bit late, but we don't want it to be too late for the kids in East Africa to go home. So we are going to rush our program a little bit. And for those ones that we had been given a chance, I'm going to cut your time by 5 minutes each. So Freshia, I don't know if you can be able to wrap up or I just go to the next session with the children. I want to hear from the children. So we have been given, Felicitas has given us feedback. Okay, you told us, now we have told you what we have done. Are you happy with what we have done? So if you are you happy with what you've done?
Yes.
You need to unmute yourself and we can hear you. Are you happy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You are happy with what we have done?
Yes.
Yes. We are happy.
Okay, so my next question. So from the next question will be, and I want us to answer this per country. So what do you think we would have done differently? And what do you think that we need to do more? So, and I'm going to start with, I want to start with the Botswana children. I saw them, or the Rwandese children. I want to start with the Rwandese and the Botswana children. Victoria, and someone needs to mute themselves. Victoria, I can't hear you. Victoria from Rwanda.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
If Victoria is not saying, we are here.
Okay, so go ahead and tell me from Rwanda.
So we are here in a group of 5 children from Rwanda. First of all, we were not here because of, I think it was the computer problem. So
okay.
I am with my friends. I am Mingante Elizabeth I study in senior 2A GS Comunico. I'm 14 years old. And I am with my friends. There are 4. First one is Motiga and Ramadan. Another one is Mojisha Fred and Janet Abihirwe and Sikugao Jackson.
Okay, thank you. What I want to hear is what do you want us to do? Or should I start with the ones who are here so that you guys can start? Or the ones who, we start with you guys?
Yes.
Okay, let me start with this one. I can see people who have points here. Anybody with a point here? Lift up your hand.
Yeah, we have a point.
Okay, go ahead from Rwanda.
First of all, we thank for the government on how they are always looking for the children in all things we do, and they help us in our participation in what we do in our daily life. We always thank for them very much. And we have some problems which are continuing, are affecting us in our daily life. The problem of child labor is still increasing in our country. And there is another problem of the down mindsets of the parents, which is very increasing in our country. And there is some main problems. Other is like the sexual abuse, which is still done in our country, and poor technology. And there is school dropout, which is still increasing. And there are the poor families, which are mostly getting on the top. And this leads to the lack of school fees, and the children lost the money to go to school. And there is on technology. On technology, there is the poor smart rooms where there is no much technology tools to use. And this leads to the time losing of using computer rooms in the way of promoting our skills. And there is the lack of supporting materials for children in their studies, like books. And this is very affecting us in our daily life. So there are the things could be done to avoid these problems affecting children in their daily life. So we need that we can continue setting the rules of punishments those who make child labor. And you can give the advertisements to the people, especially parents, about children's rights, how children could be provided in his or her daily life. And other thing we think you can do as London children is to encourage the people about the bad effects of child labor to children. And other thing we want that, or we wish that you can do, is to increase the time of using technology materials in the schools for children. And also you can support children in their studying by increasing the laboratory materials, increasing the materials in the schools for studying, and helping the schools in building those materials which help in the studies of children. And other thing is to reduce the expenses of the electronic materials. You understand that if there is the lack of school materials in technology, there is some families who are poor and they want to buy those materials to use them at home, and they can't get much money to buy those tools of technology without increasing those prices of those materials, in order to get the children having developed in their skills about what they study and so on. And other things we want that you can put in power specifically is to punish those persons who make sexual abuse to the children. This sexual abuse is very destroying children from their future. And this sexual abuse is very leading to the poorness of the mind, of the glove, and so on. So other thing that you can do is to give the support and the advisement to the children who have dropped out the schools. And you can give them the advisement from different countries and also their families. Together, the families of those children and their children, you can help them in advertisement and giving them the support to go back to school, because in our country we are seeing that the increasement of children who dropped out the schools, it is very increasing. So I think that that is the end of what we wanted to say as Rwandan Part Club. So it's enough. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So is anybody? Yes, I can see here they have points.
Thank you so much. I'm Sheila from Kenya. Here from Kenya, girl child is suffering so much. Like, for example, the girl child is exposed to these crimes. Like, a girl thinks that the only way she can help herself or her family is by selling herself on, or is by doing something, by engaging in drugs. That's the only way the girl child thinks that that's the only way she's going to help herself. Then in our country, there is this kind of behavior of men taking advantage of girls just because they are poor, that just because they cannot manage to do something else. And there's this problem of in school, there's no understanding of that this child has a talent that she can do better than what she's doing right now. And the other thing is lack of, not everyone is affording to buy the masks to keep them, to avoid the COVID-19 again. Then that thing that is facing our country is that most people or most students in school are dropping out of school, not because they don't want to continue with the school, it's because fresh pressure from their parents. The last year, the way we stayed at home, children stayed with their parents. Like, parents are not understanding their children. They are kind of misunderstanding them to a point that they think what they are doing is wrong. Like, they are tired of them staying at home. So many children, most of the students or most of the people, a girl child, have exposed to themselves to many bad things. For example, engaging in drugs, early pregnancy, running away from home, committing suicide. So what I think you should do is to advertise on how parents are going to take care of a girl child, of how the government is going to help us to improve our talents and to increase technology on how to help us aid to be one of the important people in the society. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Deborah Mbula from Bagadi High School and I'm from Kenya. Actually, I don't know what should be done to those ladies who have not yet returned to school since the outbreak of coronavirus. Some of them are pregnant, not that they don't have that possibility of going back to school, but others are just from self-esteem. They fear going back to school. What will their parents, what will their friends say? What will their teachers in school say? So they fear that embarrassment. Secondly, it's about our parents in Kenya. They don't understand us. Some of them are staying with step parents. It's very difficult for a child staying with a step mom or dad to tell him or her what he or she is facing from outside. Thirdly, is about in our country we have so many drunkards. We are like ladies of this country are facing, others are being raped. Maybe let's say you are from school, those drunkard people, they can't understand you. They expose you to sex. Only that.
I love the way we are talking, and I'm hoping if you feel shy, you can put in the Q&A your comments of what you are. I love what you're saying, because some of us have moved on. We've gone back to school and we think everything is okay. But I didn't get her name, the first girl. What's your name? I love what Sheila said, that some of them are not in school because they cannot afford masks. Have we thought about that? And your friend said that some of them are still at home because they have low self. Thought about those girls. So I want to go to another country. I am told Botswana ready. Botswana? Okay, Uganda then.
Botswana is present.
Hi, Jenny.
Okay, which country is speaking? Okay, Uganda. Let's go Uganda and then Botswana because I can't see Botswana.
Hello.
Go.
Oh. Okay, thank you. This is Uganda. My name is Mariah Joshua, and I'm mostly going to emphasize on the point of what the CSO has done of stay-at-home children who are staying at home while their parents are in the frontline workers. Now, the way it has affected these kids, as you have said, and how some of these frontline workers who are parents come back home and infect their children with the COVID-19 if they're not well taken care of themselves, and this can really affect them and their studies. Now, a way to curb this would be promoting online working for some of these parents so that they can reduce the risk of spreading the virus to their children, and maybe bring them closer to them too, if there's, because the fact that some of the classes in Uganda, some of the schools in Uganda have not fully opened for all the classes. They have only opened for the candidate classes and for the semi-candidate classes, leaving the rest of the kids home. So they should promote online working for these parents to bring them closer to their kids, and also, as I said before, reduce the spread of this virus through them.
Hi everyone, I'm Stacey Kola Natchumuri from Uganda. We are talking about Uganda. I don't know for most of
to increase your volume.
Okay, I don't know in other countries, but in Uganda we've managed to do this and semi-candidate classes. But I'm so happy that our government has done a lot of sensitization to pregnant mothers, the teenage ones, that refused to go back to school. But I'm glad they were allowed to sit for their final exams, and fortunate enough, they were added more 45 minutes to complete their exams. So I'm happy for that.
Okay, I'm Kisa Daniel from Uganda, and I think the government should lower the tuition costs of people going back to school, because people have reported to school, but they have failed to raise the school fees, of which some have been sent home. That is really disturbing their conditions, like maybe, yeah, the studies disturbing.
Yeah, I am Chigundu Ali. I am Chigundu Ali from Uganda, and I think the government should work more upon the segregation of pregnant women, teenage pregnant girls in schools, to stop the segregation in schools. That is to say, the teenagers who are pregnant, to stop these pupils from segregating them. You know what I mean? In Uganda, there is many numbers have got pregnant, and I think they have been segregated. In which way? When the pupils look at them, they are like, she got pregnant at that early age and she is shameless, I think the government should work upon that more.
So much, Uganda. Please, I would request, if your mic is on, please mute it before I mute it for you. So I am Mohammed. Please speak. Mohammed from Egypt. Yes, go on.
Hello.
Mohammed.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
سامعني؟
Go on, give us your comment. We can't hear you, Mohammed. You have to speak. Arabic interpreter, please help me. Abu, you need to come and speak here so that he can hear you. I think. Okay, I'm looking for someone from Burundi. I saw you and then you left. Burundi, are you back? Burundi, Frank. Are you back? Okay, Martha Chalema. Go on.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Milam Sam from Zambia. I would like to comment on the issues. I think most of them, they relate to what colleagues have already mentioned. The first one is consultation. I'll talk on consultations. There have not been consultations from peers on the implementation of programs or objectives that the civil society organization wish to put or actually to embed in the African Charter and then other. Am I audible?
On.
Hello, am I audible?
Go on, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Then the second one is confirmation on implementation of projects. A good number of projects, as mentioned by previous speakers, that you've implemented a good number of projects and you've come up with ideas that help government to ensure that children's rights are protected, especially in this COVID era. In Zambia, we have a problem or a challenge where these objectives that you come up or that you are internationally agreed upon to say children should be protected in this manner or in this way. Of course, we may sign and ratify to those conventions, but in terms of implementation, it has not been very effective to such an extent that we still face challenges as children, especially on the violation of our rights. You see, the high mortality level in Zambia has increased, especially this year. We're talking of children, they've been abused by. The number of cases of child abuse, especially when we talk of sexual harassment, we talk of sexual abuse and the likes. So there've not been that much effectiveness in terms of project implementation as well as punishment. I talk of stiffer punishment to the offenders. That has been lacking in Zambia. Then the other one, I'll talk of lack of security. That is cyber security, of course. You see, in this COVID era, as children, we tend to start using these electronic devices to mingle or to interact with others, as well as to learn. Social media has been that much effective that children are exposed on social media and that children are also able to access certain information that they should not access on media. So there should be that much security in terms of social media. Then the last one is a question. I would like to pose a question to you that when you agree on certain provisions, especially on the rights of children, how do you ensure that these rights are protected and they are followed and the member states are abiding to the laws that are embedded in the conventions? I'll give an example of article number 28 of the African Charter on Child's Rights. It talks on the it talks or deals with child's education, that is free basic education to children. Now we are facing a challenge in Zambia where we ratified to this, we agreed to these conventions, but till date, we've not implemented this. And a good number of people, they are actually out of school because of lack of financial funds for them to be able to be in school. And when you talk of that, it is not that much effective. It is not implemented in short in Zambia, where children are able to access free education, especially those that are in primary school. Then I would also want to call upon civil society organizations to also consider a boy child. You see, civil society organizations have done a lot in terms of helping children, especially a girl child, in ensuring that they are in school, they are involved in so many activities. I feel that boys have been left out in this case, where we see civil society organization try to just focus on girl child. So if you follow statistically, like here in Zambia, you didn't find that the pass rate or the number of people or children that are in schools are mostly girls. So boy child have been left behind. Hence, we call for gender equality, but that has not been very effective or happening. So I really feel that even boy child should also be considered, especially that we have to be treated equally before the law and before the conventions on the rights of us children. I think Martha has something to add on.
Hi everyone, I'm Martha Chalima from Zambia. As my colleague has earlier said, I'll very much focus on a girl child. Here in Zambia, we really thank the government. For the past few years, or let me say last year, when we had the COVID era, the government did a lot of things to us as girl children. They brought about things like
Okay, thank you very much, Martha. To continue from where she has ended, she was saying girl child has been supported by government in here in Zambia, where we talk of the re-entry policy, which allows a girl child to go back to school upon failing to be in school because of certain circumstances, and most of these are early pregnancies. So the government has brought in a re-entry policy that allows a girl child to go back to school after delivering when she was pregnant. So some of the projects that have been running in Zambia is actually sensitization on the COVID-19. As you may be aware that when the COVID-19 era, so there's much support that government is actually bringing to children to actually maintain the healthy status of children that are in school. You see, for the past, I think, few months, we've been facing challenges there and then, where when we went back to school, as you may be aware, that we had closed the schools due to outbreaks of corona, but due to some few implementations, of course, that the government has come up with, we were able to go back to school, and certain services were provided, but they are not fully to the standard that children are protected from the COVID-19. Then the second one, or the last point that I would like to give actually to all the viewers or that are on the conversation is the cases of teenage pregnancies have increased actually due to closing of schools. You see, when we talk of early pregnancies in Zambia, it is something that has amassed the children because they've not been in such a security place because of not being in school, so they were exposed to so many things, so many activities which enabled them to be pregnant, and that has disadvantaged the girl child, especially in this COVID era. So I'm calling upon civil society organizations to consider children's health, especially here in Zambia. It may be happening in some other parts of Africa, but in Zambia, particularly, we are calling upon civil society organization to take consideration on the welfare of the child or children, as well as to ensure that you follow up all the cases that deal with children's violation of rights in Zambia, because this has been tolerated, I think, for a good number of years. Martha, maybe you have something to say before we cut the conversation.
Okay, thank you. As my colleague has earlier said, he has mentioned of teenage pregnancies. Here in Zambia, we are not only facing teenage pregnancies, but also early teenage marriages, of which it has affected us a lot. A great number of teenage girls are not able to go to school because their parents are striving to find money, and as a result, they are marrying off girl children for them to be able to support their families. I would like to also thank the Zambian government, more especially our Vice President, for she had gone in the rural areas, and there she had called upon women and parents to educate them about the dangers of teenagers to be engaged in marriages. Not only that, I would also like to call upon the civil organization not to be only concentrating on the children in the urban areas. They should also try to be engaging those children in rural areas. Because as I have observed, the majority of people that are, or rather children that are involved in these things are the children from the urban areas, of which where the majority of teenage pregnancies is mostly found in rural areas. Thank you.
I think for us to be able to give time to other participants from different parts of Africa, I would like to give this last point to civil society organization and any other relevant stakeholder in the welfare that are involved in the welfare of the children. We are appealing to the civil society organization to take consideration. Of course, we're in a dynamic society where we depend on gadgets, electronic gadgets, for us to be able to access information, and of course to expose that violate our rights as children. So I'm appealing to civil society organization to consider Zambia and any other country in Africa, at least to provide us with technical machines that we can use, or electronic devices, for us to be able to be accessing certain information and to be able to give out our suggestions, and that field could be in data as well as other conversions. So we appeal that the electronic devices and other gadgets should be at least given to civil society organizations that are right here in Zambia, and they can distribute to their areas of concern, especially to the children. And it's one of the ways that we can be able even to interact with you. I think even now you are seeing that we are facing challenges, that we are not even observing social distancing because of limited number of gadgets that we are to use in this meeting. So I've seen from Uganda, there are 5 of them on one electronic gadget, and we, even in Zambia, we are using just a single smartphone where we're not even adhering to certain COVID-19 rules that we are supposed to abide to. I think I rest my case here to give chance to others to participate. Thank you.
So much Zambia, and I can see, sorry Mundi, I know you wanted to talk, but Zambia has already spoken. We'll give you a chance when all the countries have spoken. So I want Komoto, you need to switch on your camera from your side. So I can't switch it on for you. You need to switch it on. It's been off for a while.
Jenny.
You need to switch on the camera from your side.
Hello.
So if you're using a computer, yes, come out so I can hear you.
Jenny?
Yeah, now you can see you.
My problem is I don't have a problem myself.
Okay.
I have a problem with children who are some kilometers away, 100 kilometers away from me.
Okay,
who
what's
are
what
with
are their
Kudabalole and Nitasawa. Sorry?
Okay,
Sorry?
send me their names. Send me a WhatsApp with their names and then I will upgrade them because there are so many people and for security's sake, we don't just upgrade anyone. We just upgrade people we know, and this is for security reasons. So just send me a message with their names and then I'll upgrade them.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you. So I'm looking for Frank.
Okay.
Are you ready?
You're welcome.
Frank, you're not ready.
Ils sont prêts?
Burundi.
Oui, nous sommes là.
Okay, go on.
Ok, merci. Ici, chez nous au Burundi, il n'y a pas eu de confinement total. Mais ce que nous demandons au gouvernement, c'est de renforcer les mesures. Ok, ici au Burundi, il n'y a pas eu de confinement total. Donc, mais ce que nous demandons au gouvernement, c'est de renforcer les mesures de protection de la propagation de la COVID-19, surtout dans les écoles. Mais aussi, il y a eu trop d'abandon scolaire parce qu'il y a certains parents dont ils faisaient leur business en ligne. Mais avec la propagation de la COVID, leur business a été arrêté et les parents n'ont pas eu encore les frais scolaires pour leurs enfants. Aussi, nous demandons au gouvernement de travailler sur les droits de l'enfant parce qu'ici au Burundi, il y a trop de cas qui se sont montrés que beaucoup d'enfants sont maltraités par leurs marâtres. Merci.
Anybody else from Burundi? And then we go to Rwanda. No? No? Okay. No, okay. Botswana, Kuda, I think you can speak now. Kuda from Botswana.
Hi everyone, my name is Abaleng Kidikile and I'm from Botswana. One point I'd like to raise is that the government should look more into rural areas and help children and new families as they are left more vulnerable by COVID-19 since they have less resources like technology to attend online school. And also one thing that we've been doing in Botswana is that schools have been doing shifts so that there are not lots of children in one area or class to avoid COVID cases from rising. Thank you.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Yes, in Botswana here, COVID cases have been increasing daily. So students in schools have been transmitted with COVID-19. So due to this, social issues have been increasing daily, like defilement, rape, incest, and the students or children are the ones who are suffering from this kind of issues. So here in Botswana, we want the government to increase or to make the laws or the punishment or the penalties stricter for people who defile or use children sexually, because due to COVID-19, these issues have grown rapidly. Yeah. And children in Botswana are not engaged in much of decision making. There are decisions that are being made without engaging children. And we as children, we want to be engaged in this kind of issues, to engage more children in order to know certain information, for children to know certain information, and the government to exchange this kind of information with children. Yeah.
Okay, so hi, my name is Homele Mapalalani from Botswana here. So I'm going to talk about the education system of Botswana. Is that this system does not cater for children in Botswana with their capabilities, because when you look, children are expected to, let's say for grade 11 and grade 12, they're expected to study 9 subjects, but from those, only 6 are chosen for your career path. So I was thinking that maybe this could be changed so that students can be allowed to study only those subjects which they know that they want to go through those careers in their future, instead of making children to study a lot of subjects, some of them ending up having no use. Okay, I hope you understand that. And then also talk about the adverse childhood experiences, to say that what happens to a child at a younger age tends to become a problem in their future. So as my colleague was talking about the social ills or those defilement incest cases, I think they should be treated so that people, or yes, us as children, we can have a much more clearer future, a much more healthier future. Yeah. And then I'm going to take this one. The lost.
On usage of electric technology.
Okay, and then I'm gonna continue. The laws in Botswana, they deny children with the right to bring cell phones or laptops or all those things to school. It said that you're breaking the law. It's not allowed for you to bring such to school. So I was thinking that because of COVID-19, right now, we are much more into the technology world. We should be allowed to bring such, so that this can make our learning environment much more faster and easier, as we can communicate using apps like Microsoft Teams. Yeah, that can be something very helpful. Yeah, that is all we had for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am looking for a country that has not spoken so far. I am looking for a country. Okay, I can't pronounce your name. Oh gosh, please help me. Netese Aone. Please help me how to pronounce that name.
It's Nititsaone. It's
Siyabonga.
Yabonga. Okay. My name is Sutunya Kikwe. I'm a former Marama Junior Secondary School student. And with me is Kaliora Kulele from Kalahadi Primary School. What we want to discuss about today is, just like Homolima said, it's our education system. In some schools, we are shifting classes due to the COVID pandemic. Like if a class is like, it has a lot of students inside, they're divided, right? And then the class is divided into 2. But then when you even think about this, it's a strain on both the students and teachers, because just like when we're shifting the morning shifts and afternoon shifts, right? And it's not a secret that for you to be able to grasp something, you have to be able to learn it in the morning because your mind is still fresh. But then when you look at it, the students that learn in the afternoon shifts are more compromised because they're tired. They don't really have the absolute energy to do anything. And the teachers also, they're also tired. You even find yourself that they don't teach the exact same things they taught your classmates because they were tired, or they just simply forgot. So that we're just asking that we make the resources available, increase the infrastructures in some schools. Not all of these schools do this. And as such, some schools are at risk of contracting that. And
here in Jwaneng, we have almost all of the schools here have COVID-19 cases. And you even find that other students had to go into quarantine, they had to go into isolation, and then as a result, the education is getting compromised. They don't really move as with other students, because if one is tested positive in one class, the whole class has to go into quarantine. And you can imagine, because if that one person is positive, there's a higher possibility that that person went to meet other people, so that those other people can spread it to other people, because COVID, you can really get it, but you can't notice. So you can imagine how this is causing a strain on the education system here. And over to you, man.
Yes, Tunya has already introduced me. My name is Kalira Bulay. I'm here just to talk about the cases of defilement in Jwaneng. Most of the cases of defilement are very overwhelming, and it's very compromising to some of our schools. And so in Kalagadi, let me say Jwaneng, we have many cases of defilement, and many children are very dropping out of school, and that means that we lose track of time to cover all the lessons in their classes. So defilement is a very serious case.
And you could find that most of these cases were not reported because due to statistics, it has showed that over the lockdown period, almost more than 25 girls have fallen pregnant in one zone. You can imagine how they were feeling, but because they couldn't go to the police and go like report because they were in lockdown. Lockdown was literally like stopping them from being free. Even so, they couldn't just muster up the courage to do so, because some of these people who defiled them, who raped them, are actually just their relatives or people they just know. And you could find that abuse cases are also going up. I mean, here in Botswana, lockdown happened around last year, around May, June. And you would find that the biggest source of income in Botswana was terminated for a little while. We were talking about the trade system, most likely the alcohol trade system. So it was closed, and there are lots of drunkards, yeah, if I may. There are lots of drunkards. So you can imagine how people who used to drink alcohol, like who used to rewind with it. Like when it was closed up, they couldn't do anything. They had frustrations. They got angry. They took out some of the frustrations on their families, and you can imagine how those families had to live in fear only because of this pandemic. So, yeah, I think we're done. We're done, right?
Yep, we're done.
Okay.
Hi, Martha.
I'm using two gadgets, but I'm supposed to switch off one, so that caused a little challenge. So Martha, I'm going to give you 2 seconds to speak, and then we can go to Aya from North Africa to speak to us. Aya or Mohammed from North Africa.
الو
Hello. Hello.
سامعني تمام؟
Go on.
عندنا هنا في مصر عملنا شوية بحوثات وهكذا من سن
We
8
have challenges, especially children under 18 years. They go a lot of challenges here in Egypt. Istamir, continue, Muhammad. we have there's a lot of cases of corona here in Egypt. And also it has made children to stay at home. They cannot go to school. It has affected so many people. And the country does not pay attention to these issues. There's no attention to children in schools, like ensuring all children have masks in school. These are things that the government is not paying attention to it or to them. Now, Mr. Mir, continue, Muhammad.
الو
Go on.
ايوه كان في
We can
تأثير
hear you.
نفسي.
No, continue. I can hear you, Muhammad.
So he can hear.
Yes. I think his internet is cutting off, but I can
Okay.
hear him very clearly. I can hear him here clearly when he speaks.
Okay, go on then.
Istamir Muhammad.
الو
Nam.
هنا في مصر حاولنا ان احنا بكل الطرق الممكنه ان احنا نأدي الدعم النفسي لان كان في
So here in Egypt, we are trying to get support. Maybe you can get support from our parents. So we also need psychological support, considering the period we have gone through. We have a lot of psychological issues, considering we have been staying in our houses for so long. So we require this psychological support. Most of the children, they require this because this is something that has never happened in our entire lives. Nam, continue.
ايوه تمام خلصت.
Saying he's okay. Those are the few comments he wanted. They say that children are going a lot of challenges, especially psychological problem, because they never experienced this kind of life, especially sitting in houses. And maybe the government's also not doing a lot in terms of giving masks in school and such a thing. So they require a lot of psychological support, and that is what Muhammad is saying. Back to you, Jennifer.
Mohammed, I have like 2 minutes for the last person. The rest of us, please, we need to, you see these people, it's getting dark and they need to go back home. So we need one last person, Aya. Aya has been lifting up, I've been told she's been lifting her hand up for a while. Aya from Egypt. Are you there, Aya?
Yes, I'm here from Tunisia.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I was told North Africa. I thought it is Egypt. Go on, Aya.
Okay, I'm gonna speak Arabic.
It's okay, this translation.
Okay. حاليا الوضع الوبائي في تونس
currently the situation is getting better, considering the death numbers. When we compare last month here, the affected people are more than 100,000 currently. People have been affected by corona. So this pandemic has affected so many people in our society. And during this crisis, with those lockdown, people have gone through a lot of challenges in terms of financial problems, social, where there is a lot of pressure, there's a lot of psychological pressure, challenges. We're also teaching in houses actually differ totally when we compare with the schools. So there's a lot of pressure in the houses where it's something that has never happened. Parents sitting with their children for so long. This is something that has never happened. So when you look at the resources that are available, they are very limited. Not all people can be helped. Maybe people who can be helped, these are people with the priorities maybe. And people have been losing their jobs. People are sitting at home. And also disabled children are the most affected people in the society because getting health services has been a problem when you compare when they were in schools. It was easier, maybe through government, through ministries. Then these people are disabled people, maybe children, also getting like medicine is difficult this time of corona, because when during school days the government can supply the requirements to these children, but currently there's a lot of problem because of corona. And then the number of affected people, or the number of corona cases, they're still going on, they're increasing, as we can see in the media. نعم، هل هناك إضافة؟
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, shukran jazila. Thank you very much for those comments.
Shukran. So I'm going to cut this conversation here because we have a very interesting session. Caroline, you have 5 minutes
Caroline?
Caroline, you have 5 minutes to do your presentation, and then because we're supposed to end this at 6 o'clock, and I see we don't have time. So Caroline, if you're able to do your presentation for the next 5 minutes, and then we can hear a quick feedback. So as Caroline is presenting, if you have any feedback to give to Caroline, please put them in the chat so that we can have the shortest time possible. Caroline?
Okay, thank you very much, Jenny. 5 minutes is a bit too tight for me, but I'll try my best. So thank you very much, Jennifer, and to the children. So this afternoon, I'm going to present on the Haki for All Children platform, which is a digital platform that we've developed to teach children about their rights, to be able to identify when those rights have been violated, and to also know the processes to follow when they're seeking redress for those violations. So last year we tested, or rather piloted, the training with about 300 children from about 14 countries from Southern, East, Central, and West Africa. And I saw some of the names of some of the children who were there last year are also here today. So we've basically taken the feedback that we've received from the children and incorporated it onto the revised version of the platform. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Jennifer, if you allow me to share my screen. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen. Okay, so this is the Haki platform, and Haki is Swahili for rights.
Lesson 1. What are our rights?
No, Taji, I don't know what children's rights are. What are?
Children's rights are entitlements that are inherent in them as persons. They seek to ensure that all children survive, develop, learn, participate, and are not treated unfairly. In all matters affecting children, the best interests of the child should be upheld.
Oh, thank you so much, Taji. Who came up with these rights?
Children's rights have been around for a long time. They started with the United Nations in 1950. In Africa, the African leaders in 1990 developed the African Children's Charter. This is a legal document that made it important to include African culture, values, and experiences when dealing with children. There are various rights that children have, Temi. These rights are given to children in a document called the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, ACRWC, usually called the African Children's Charter. The rights are given to us by rules known as articles.
Oh, that's really nice, Taji. You mean the African Charter is specific to African children? Please tell me more about the Charter.
There are various rights that children have, Temi. These rights are given to children in a document called the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child.
You mean rules like the ones that we have at my house, such as wash your hands before you eat?
Yes, they are rules like that. Our rights follow 4 key principles, which are non-discrimination, which is in Article 3, which means that every child is included whether they are a boy or girl or other. All children should have the same chances as others, even if they have different cultures or religions, have disabilities, or are from different communities or from different countries. The next one is best interest of a child, which is in Article 4, which means that all adults must consider what children need the most, and they make sure that what is the best for children is given to them at all times. All adults should do what is best for children. When adults make decisions, they should think about how the decisions affect children. Rights to life, survival and development, which is in Article 5, which means making sure children are able to live their life from the time they are born until they are adults. This includes providing them with good healthcare, education, and play. Children should be supported to grow, learn, and be safe from harm. Participation, which is found in Article 12, which means where children can be a part of the discussions with elders on issues about their life. They are given information which they understand, and that they are allowed to share their knowledge and their ideas. This also means that adults should consider children's ideas when making decisions about matters that affect their lives.
That is very good to know, Taji. But who is a child, and are children's rights for all children?
A child is a person under the age of 18 years. And yes, Tammy, children's rights belong to all children in the world. It does not matter who the child is, where they come from, their ability, or what their race and religion is. All children have rights.
Thank you, Taji. Now I know we have rights, and I also understand as children we also have responsibilities.
There are quite a number of children's rights. Okay. These include the right to a name and nationality found in Article 6.
Okay, so Jennifer, for the sake of time, I think I'm going to leave it here. So basically, this was just an introduction to the digital training that we've developed for the children. And it's a digital training that we also going to make sure that we're going to print it for those children who do not have access to the internet or have limited access to the internet, or children from rural areas. So we are in the process of developing a print format of the training, which will also be made available. And we will also be translating the training into Arabic and French later in the year. Jennifer, I'm going to hand over back to you. And maybe before I quickly hand over back to you, just to tell the children that we will be continuing the training with some of the regions this year. So you will hear from some of the CSOs that you work with on when those trainings for the Haki platform will be taking place. Thanks. Over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you. I can see so many hands up. I am worried. If I give you so much time, what's going to happen?
Take two
hands.
Yeah, just two hands.
Sorry, I just want to go near. I can't read from afar. So I'm going to start with Joshua Ouma, and then Kuda. No, Tabang. Okay, Tabang, are you able to start? Because you're alone, so you may not take longer because these ones are groups. Tabang?
Yes, I am ready.
Any comments on the platform very quickly? Tabang, you're muted.
Good ladies, gentlemen, good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tabanga Maipato from Lesotho. And firstly, we are sorry that others weren't able to come because we didn't get the program on time. But may I get started? We as the Lesotho children didn't like school before the COVID-19 pandemic. But ever since the pandemic had arrived, some of us ran away from our homes because
Our parents don't have much money to take care of us, so we need to be self-reliant. So we ran away from our homes and we went to streets. And some of us, when we get to streets, we become drug addicts. And when we are drug addicts, some of us rape young teenagers, and when we rape them, they become pregnant, and then their future gets ruined, and all of us get ruined, and that is not good for our country's legacy because it won't be continued. So we would like the schools to be reopened, and we are not happy that we are jumped to the next classes without getting enough knowledge. And we as the Lesotho children, we would like to commemorate the Day of the Children living in the streets so that we can get to all know the children's rights. Even the children living on the streets should know their rights, and they should not be skipped. They should know their rights so that they cannot be disabled. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabang. I'm looking again whose hand is up. Okay, I know the group that is upstairs wanted to speak a lot. I'm going to give you like 20 seconds for you guys to speak. The guys who are upstairs.
School and just ask on maybe what's different on the feedback that you've been given, what could be done differently. And my question is, you've given us the feedback, but have you made a step to when you are giving the feedback, did you ensure that following up with the government to ensure that these children
Sorry for that. Okay, as I continue, okay, my question was that Madam Jennifer and your colleagues, according to the feedback that you've given us, have you made a step with the government to ensure that the feedback that you have given at the children are being the children are being helped? For example, in Kenya, those children who are still at home, most especially the girls, have you made a step with the government to ensure that they are going back to school? Because like in our school, most children have not yet come back to school, and you can see that maybe, like for me, I'm in Form 4, and most of them are supposed to be doing the KCSE, which is nationwide. And have you made a step with the government to ensure that those girls are going back to school? And my other question was that this coronavirus has not just affected the girls only, the boys have also been affected, but they have been left behind. Most percentage is just on the girls, and the government is just concentrating on the girls, but the boys have been left out. So we need at least to give them a chance to raise up their voice and to at least to say what they're going through, what is affecting them, because it's like the government has just concentrated with the girls only. Let me just give a chance to to also.
My name is Ezron Peter from Bagadi High School. I'll be very brief because of time. So we're talking about early pregnancy, violation of children's rights. So my question is, at what age should we start educating the children about sex and the rights of their own? Because of time, I'll just give my colleague here, Hezron. So at what age should we start educating our children about early sex and to reduce the chances of getting the pregnancies that we are seeing now in our country? Thank you very much. I would like to put it across if the organization can help, so that the schools can have some of the guidance and counseling teachers, since students come from different backgrounds. And secondly, I would like the government to reduce the amount or the social distance, since not every student can study through that social distance. Some need assistance from their friends, yet the chance to talk or to come closer to their friends has been placed some meters away. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we've run out of time. So I am going to Freshia to come up with the points. I think we've spoken for the last few hours, about 2 hours. Freshia and Collins have been taking notes. So I'm going to give Freshia 2 minutes. Or I start with Collins. Collins, you can come down here and give us the 2 minutes summary, and then Freshia, you can give us the last words. Collins, you've been taking notes. Just in summary, 2 minutes.
Wow. So okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity. Yes, I was taking a bit of a few notes here on the issues that have been raised by children. Just to highlight a few very important issues. There are issues to do with poor technology that were mentioned by kids from Rwanda, that like the issues like technology has really affected them in terms of studies due to COVID-19, and also lack of learning materials, which is another issue that has been mentioned by children. And on probably what could be done differently, I think the issues of child labor, sexual abuse, the issues of children dropping out of school, and also the issues of school fees, of course, have been mentioned. And the recommendation that children are giving a creation of awareness on the effects of child labor, and supporting children by providing learning materials and the reduction of costs of probably learning materials, which is also another issue. Then there is an issue of advertising or putting information out there on the effects of probably on sexual abuse. And there are also proposals by children that the punishment on those abusing children should be increased. And that is a very common issue that we've had, I think, in almost every country that has presented here, because of child defilement issues that are very common, and COVID-19 has really made them go high. So then the issues of girls who fear going back to school because of stigma, probably that is also another issue that should be looked at. And another important issue that has been mentioned by Memphis, I think from Bagathi High School here in Kenya, is that children, the government probably, we have mentioned, the CSO has mentioned about, has given feedback on what has been done so far, or from the last CSO forum. So the question she was asking, what have you done so far in terms of engaging governments to make sure that this feedback is implemented fully, and to make sure that children rights are followed to the latter? So I think I'll just mention that for now. I will give, of course, the rest of the feedback later on in writing.
Thank you for taking notes. I know, Frecia, are you there? Frecia?
Yes.
Okay, you do that and then as you close.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jennifer, and thank you, children. I mean, it's been an interesting 2 hours. As Jennifer has said, I was writing notes, and I don't think I've written so many notes in a long time. There was so much that you have contributed, so many issues that you have highlighted. There is a lot of maybe picking up from what Felicitas has given us feedback from the last 2 sessions we had with children, actually 3, including the Day of the African Children. But I think for me, on top of, or other than what has also been mentioned, the issues that were coming up in this session, I mean, technology has come out as one of those strong and key issues that children feel that there's a need for the use of technology and for government to actually adapt and actually increase the access to technology. We've also seen the children highlighting around the issue of sexual and gender-based violence, especially for girls. This has led to either girls dropping out of school. It has also led to some of them falling pregnant. Some countries have highlighted that their governments are doing a lot around the area of re-entry for girls who have actually become pregnant, but this still seems to be quite an issue. Pregnancy seems to be something cutting themes across all the countries. A lot of it we've also seen is the commercial sexual exploitation of children. The issue of drugs was also raised. That was in Kenya by Sheila. And then again, she also raised an interesting issue around how do we recognize talents of children in school. Again, she raised an issue of something that has become a basic need in today's education and even in society. How can children, or how can the government be able to provide for children who are not able to afford a mask? I mean, children can't go to school without a mask. I mean, she also raised an issue that also seems to have arisen is the issue of how parents are relating to children, especially during this time of COVID. There is a lot of either, I don't know how to call it a generational gap, but it seems there has been raised an issue where parents are not understanding their children, leading to a lot of misunderstanding or a lack of mentorship between the 2 generations. Again, somebody raised the issue of drunkenness. There's been a lot of drunkenness within the society. Uganda raised one very interesting, this was Moriah Joshua, who asked, how do we protect the children of frontline workers? I mean, the frontline workers are running the risk of infecting their children. And he said what he would suggest as a solution is that to make sure that where possible, let us adopt online working. Again, he mentioned that while some countries have gone back to school, Uganda, it seems it's only those who are candidates who have managed to go to school, who have managed to go back to school. So there's still, again, a challenge for the rest of the society, because we know by March, a lot of African societies had already, that is 2020, had already started to feel the impact of COVID. We are now in March 2021, 1 year later. Children have yet to go back to school in a lot of these countries. So there is a lot of challenges, I mean, for children who are still at home 1 year later and not knowing which way forward. Again, one of the issues, I think Uganda commended their government because they have really worked around the re-entry of girls back to school, those who have fallen pregnant. And they noted that one of the things that their government did was give the girls an extra 45 minutes for them to take their final exam. That was quite interesting.
Frecia? Frecia? I think we have lost Frecia. Frecia? Frecia? Is she on?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Where did you lose me? At what point?
which point? Frontline workers.
Really? Okay, I said for Uganda, you let me go through Uganda because that was quite some time back. I think one of the things we commended their government is because their government has done a lot in terms of making sure that pregnant girls have gone back to school, and by going ahead to even give them extra minutes for them to actually be able to sit and finalize their exam. That is what I think gender equality is all about, taking into account the different circumstances that would need or different that would warrant someone getting some special treatment to bring them at par with the rest of the population or the rest of the class. In terms of Zambia, thank you very much. You raised a key question in terms of implementation. As much as civil society, we have focused on the signing of the laws and the policies. What is it that we are doing around making sure that these laws are followed? One of the issues you gave is the issue of access to education. And how do we make sure that this access, there is free, fair, and basic, access education for all children? You also noted that as much as technology has come as a blessing and a measure that we use to fill in the gap in terms of what has been brought by COVID, the inaccessibility for education, but there has also been a high rise in online child sexual exploitation, and you are calling on the civil societies for them to actually come in and make sure that children are protected online as much as they are protected offline. You also raised the issue of the boy child. And again, this issue seems to have recurred again in terms of access for the boy child during or before COVID and even after COVID. We had the boys who are in school, but it seems the focus still seems to be on the girl child. There is a lot of justification for that, but you are raising the issue that civil societies also need to look at the boy child and actually see what is happening with the boy child, especially in the light of COVID. You asked us to look at the issues of health, child rights and child health in terms of the increase in child rights, increase in the COVID cases, and also asked us to note that child marriage is still an issue in the continent. Zambia thanked their VP, again, who was taken time to actually go to the rural areas. And you really asked civil societies to go beyond focusing on the urban areas where most of us are based, because you said a lot of the child pregnancies and teenage pregnancies, we are finding them in the rural as opposed to the urban areas, and this can be due to the lack of information. And you have really asked civil societies to make sure that they actually focus on the rural areas. Burundi, you noted that parents as well as children are affected by COVID, and when parents lose their jobs, the children also suffer because of this. Because parents are not able to provide for their children. Botswana also raised again the issues around the children in the rural areas, and you asked that the government should be able to punish, especially sexual offenders, where we are finding that there's so many cases of teenage pregnancies and defilement of children, but we are not seeing the same amount in terms of conviction and sentencing of these offenders. Somebody again raised an issue around the systems of education. How is our system of education? Is it meant to help children, or is it career driven or focusing on your career? Or are we doing so many subjects or learning so many things without really tailor making them to your careers? Again, you raise the issues of access to education. Some classes are being divided into two, with some learning in the morning, others in the afternoon, placing those who are in the afternoon to be disadvantaged. For those North Africa, we heard from Mohammed, who said that COVID cases are still high in Egypt, and he says he feels that the government can do much, much more for children, because he feels some children are still out of school. He raised one issue that hadn't been raised before, and this is around the issue of psychological, providing children with psychological care and counseling, because he said for him, before this, they've never been home for so long, they've never been with their parents for so long. It's been one of a very scary period of time. And so one of the things he's looking at and one of the things he's recommending is that children should receive psychological care. From Aya from Tunisia, who I think was one of amongst our last presenters, She says that now people are actually being able to sort of adapt to the COVID and this entire environment. It seems it is, yes, the new normal, but the cases are still high. Lockdown has brought with it financial, social, and psychological stress. Still, again, learning from home is one difficult situation. I mean, the health system has also been affected, and the government is not always able to access children as they were able to do while they were in school. We heard from Lesotho, and who also raised the issue of children now running away from home and actually becoming children living or connected to the streets. And this in itself raises again a lot of other issues. So, I mean, to summarize this, there has been a lot of issues, so many issues that have been raised. A lot of them are cross-cutting across the continent. It seems, from what I understand from this, the situation differs from country to country. Some of you are back in school. Some countries have opened actually school. Others, it is a few sections of maybe the candidates who are back in school. But it seems the situation, while it's not the same, the issues that children are facing across the continent are quite similar, whether it is sexual exploitation, gender-based violence, again, lack of school fees for some, lack of basic needs, parents, and the financial stress. I mean, so all of these issues will make their way into an outcome statement, which is what we will be writing from this. In itself, it will be a consolidated report, and that you will be able to share and access, which again, I'm sure will be on the Civil Society Forum website. But we also agreed, as we were starting today, that we will be having 2 children from this session be able to present these issues and their recommendations to the Civil Society Forum tomorrow, and also on Monday to the African Committee session. I don't know if there is anything else you want to add to this, please just type on the chat box. For all chaperones, I think there's a Google form that was shared by Jennifer. Please fill in that form so that we are able to make sure we know all the children who actually participated in this forum. The Google form is on the chat. Fill in the form, and then you'll be able to share it with Jennifer, who will be able to consolidate. And then if that allows us that in the next time, we'll be able to keep track and share these reports, and also keep track of the children who participated. Jennifer, I'm not so sure how we were meant to choose the children who are participating tomorrow.
So, so for this one, this time we want to give a chance to children in North and West or Central Africa. That means Francophone and Arabic-speaking children, because in the last 2 for 3, from 15, 16, 17, we've had children from Southern and East Africa speaking. So this time we are requesting if we can able to have a child from North Africa and one from Central or West Africa who speaks French. So, from the ones who have spoken, children, are you able to put in the chat the child? So I think from North Africa we had Aya from Tunisia and Mohammed from Egypt, and then I think from Burundi we had, remember his name, we had a child from Burundi, and then we had another girl from Rwanda. So and they have to be speaking, if you're from Rwanda, we really want you to be speaking French. We are being very specific this time. I apologize, because we want to give all the children an opportunity to be able to speak. So, I want us to see who put in the chat, and then I'll be reading from the chat which child has been chosen. So we have Aya and Mohammed from North Africa, and then we have the boy from North Africa. So I want to see names. So one will speak tomorrow, the other one is going to speak on Tuesday during the opening of the committee session. I can't see names, guys. I need names. can't see names. I need you to help me, guys. You want Aya? Huh? You guys want Aya Mohammed? Aya. Okay, we have Aya here. We have Aya from Tunisia. I can't see your comments. You can put in the quick Q&A section. It's not the chat, it's Q&A. Just put the name of the child that you want to participate on Monday. A section. I have seen people already writing. So which one do you want? Okay, I want to see comments coming in through. We have Aya. So we need 2 children, guys.
Just to say, Jennifer, that the 2 children, what we are expecting is that tomorrow, when civil society organizations meet, we need a child who is going to speak on behalf of all of you who are here today, to say you met today and you discussed issues around your rights, you discussed issues around COVID, and these are the recommendations you are making to civil society organizations. So you'll be looking into that or speaking to that. Frasier has already captured some of your issues or recommendations that you made. If you still need help, you can speak to your officers there or your chaperones that you have, and they can pass on the message to get these for you. And then the second child is going to be speaking, I think it's on the 16th. And they also have 5 minutes, like the one tomorrow has 5 minutes. The one speaking on the 16th it's during the week, it's a Tuesday. And they will be talking to the African Committee of Experts on the rights and welfare of the child. And the expectation there is that they can speak to the committee who represents the overall person responsible for the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child to be implemented. And the expectation is that you'll be telling that committee what you think should be done if that charter is to be fully implemented. And it's not anything new. It's the issues that you've been raising here. Some of them were around child participation. I had a lot of you saying that we don't listen to you and so on and so forth. So these are some of the issues that you have to present. So just saying that maybe the choosing might sound as if we are the sacrificed lamb. But the bottom line is that we can't have all of you speaking. So we need one person to speak to civil society organizations tomorrow. And then we need one person to also speak to the committee on Tuesday, representing African children, not just your country, but African children. So yeah, I don't know if we now have names, Jenny.
So far, we have Aya. I can't see. I wanted. I was hoping there would be a boy, but boys are shy. I don't know why they don't want to speak. So I have like 3 people saying Aya. I have no anybody else. I think the Rwandese group dropped off, and the Rwandese and the Burundi group dropped off. So I don't know how we're going around this. So Aya can speak on when can Aya speak, or we'll determine that later, the listers.
Sorry, you were saying?
Aya can speak on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and then tomorrow I can see there's a girl here who keeps on, but you're a girl. I needed a boy. I need a boy and a girl. So any boy who wants to speak tomorrow? Any boy? Lesotho, I can see Lesotho, I can see Botswana, but I was hoping I can get someone from North Africa. Okay, they're not there. Really, your guidance.
If they're not there, I guess we'll have to ask Komla, do we have the Togo children still here?
Okay, I understand that Mohammed from Egypt said he's going to speak tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, Mohammed, Samia is going to get in touch with you with details. So, we are going to, I think for now, I'm going to hand over this meeting back to Felista. But before that, I'm going to there's someone who is on my case. They keep on sending me messages. And let me just get their names correctly. Kamuti from Zambia, you are going to say one last word, just one word on how you have found this forum to be. Just one word to say, how did I find this forum? Kamuti from Zambia. You're not there? Okay. No more hands up. Victoria. Those are Rwandese. Are you guys back?
We are back.
Oh, ça va?
Ça va bien.
Oh, okay. So thank you for being, but you're just closing. Felicitas, maybe you can close for us as we finish up. We are 30 minutes over our time.
Okay. Once again, I just want to say thank you. We've had fruitful discussions, and we can only promise that from here, we will not be strangers. We will continue to engage with yourselves. What we've also asked civil society organizations to also do is that we've asked them to engage with yourselves at country level so that you not only meet civil society organizations at this level, but that there's continuous engagement at country level. And it's even better at a country level, because at least at that level, you can already measure what our contribution is as civil society organizations. But you can also help us to design interventions that can really, really make a difference in your lives, and interventions that actually can facilitate for your involvement, where you perhaps you could be involved in implementation. I know a lot of African states and civil society organizations in African countries do have human rights clubs that are running in schools. Perhaps we take those forward. We now have other tools, as you saw, one from Haki that we can actually utilize if we don't want to be reading all the time, that perhaps we can also use cartoons to really pass the message forward. But that also depends on whether or not we have resources in our localities, whether this is at school or at social workers' offices or social workers' community halls and so forth, like television, where we can put in a USB and play some of these tools so that they can speak to us, and then we can engage in a question answer type of sessions, and we can get to learn more and we can get to interact more on these things. And also perhaps as we go forward, would want to not only engage with yourselves, because today we had a lot of issues that are coming from how parenting and parents actually facilitate for some of these violations to take place. So perhaps going into the future, would need to look into issues around how we have conversations or dialogues between children and parents that are mediated by civil society organizations, and we can know where we stand as civil society organizations. So going forward, we are going to act on some of the recommendations that you have proposed today, and we'll hear more tomorrow. Also hearing how other civil society organizations feel about the address that we're going to be getting tomorrow from Mohammed. So thank you so much once again, and particularly we want to thank you for having given us time up to this late hour. We really do appreciate it. And thank you to the chaperones and parents, civil society organizations that are part of this, that have facilitated this. We want to also thank our sponsors as well. Thank you, Save the Children. Thank you, Plan International. And thank you, Afghan, for facilitating the different aspects of this meeting. We want to also extend our gratitude to the interpreters, because they made sure that much as we spoke different languages, but that we could understand and hear each other. So thank you so much for helping us with that particular service. Once again, thank you, children, and we thank you for your participation. We thank you for your frank and honest deliberations that you had with us. And with that, Jenny, thank you to the team that has put together this. I want to end here and say good night.
Much. I wanted us to take a family photograph, but my computer has just died on me. So I'm going to use the studio guys to help me take the photo. So can we all switch on our cameras so that we can be seen? Okay, sorry. And wait just a minute. I'm blocking some people. There are people whose cameras are still off. Switch on your cameras, guys. And let's all say cheese. 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 I can see you. I can see your bright African teeth. Let me see. Cheese.
Cheese.
Kelly, who has a camera can be able, Ben or Freshia? My computer is off. Go to the next page, I think. I will see if we can be able to take more pages. Can you search, guys, switch on your cameras. We are 38 of us. Okay, say cheese again, guys.
Cheese. Cheers. Tunakora cheers na cheese. Jangan main ya guys. Cheese.
Thank you so much. I need to go to the camera. He's Thank you so much for joining us, and see you tomorrow. If you're able to join in, please join us using your country network. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Happy Friday. Yo.